Hi, it's me, your boy, Naffy Napkin, known ecchi connoisseur and professional doujin reviewer. Today we're taking a gander at 17776, aka So's dotted our token. The year is 17,776. A satellite named Pioneer 9 gained sentience from a 15,000-year slumber only to wake up with humanity in a drastically different state. All humans have spontaneously, inexplicably stopped aging and giving birth. They solved all conflict, no more wars, because they gained immortality, but now all humans are in a perpetual state of constantly fighting boredom. So they played a simple game of football. I mean multiple, cross-country, decade-spanning, and possibly complex football games. If this sounds interesting to you, I really suggest you stop watching this video right now and go to the link in the description. Read the whole thing yourself, as I will break down aesthetically a bit why I love this art piece, and just generally give my opinion and thoughts about this story in this video. I won't spoil the entire thing so you can experience this glorious stamped Kunstwerk yourself, but I feel like I've already spoiled enough about the beginning to hook you in. I also suggest reading while listening to Calm Susser Todd from Evangelion for a truly transcendent experience. For me personally, it is truly one of the most ethereal existential experiences I've had reading about football. This is your final warning. Go! So, the first I've heard about 17,776, I thought it would be in the same basket as 177013, because what else would a random string of numbers mean? Anyways, the doujin was all in Japanese. I didn't understand anything going on. Doesn't look like anything special. Just like the story you're about to hear. So, the first thing you see in the big chaotic clusterfuck that is 17,776 is a regular news article. Just seems like a normal blog about predicting the future of football, but if you actually read it, you can tell that something is terribly wrong, as it explicitly states. After scrolling down for a bit, it pulls a Doki Doki Literature Club. The text enlarges and expands, and after blackening the screen, a picture pops up saying, "Good morning." The time is 2:17 a.m. The date is 3/27/43. You are now in the mind of a newly sentience-gained satellite named Pioneer 9, a real man-made space probe actually sent out in 1968 to measure interplanetary phenomena. You're not given this information immediately, and it's quite jarring when it was revealed. Before I go on, I want to ask this. Imagine if you were a writer, how would you present the passage of time? Now you can just set some dialogue and put in between 11 days later. Now that's all and good, but I think this is where the story truly shines, and how it's being presented with an online blog media format thing, and it amazes how the creator even did this with just these limitations. The way it presents the next part of the story is incredibly abstract and weird. It's one big calendar showing from month to month with occasional messages between these two beings. One is incredibly confused and disoriented about everything. He keeps sending messages over and over, but no reply ever comes, and he's clearly desperate for answers, or just any contact whatsoever. And that's where I'll stop continuing the plot. I would have made a giant retrospective bit-by-bit in-depth breakdown, but I'm too lazy. But what's even more important is that you can think about it for yourself while reading. You're smart, I don't need to spoon-feed it to you. However, I did recap the story up to this point to prove that this story not only has a lot of meaning about the future of humanity and all that, but also has an aesthetic experience, aka how it presents the story. It's quite impressionist, and the focus is trying to make you feel instead of telling a completely coherent story, while also generally being a coherent story, because there are large sections where nothing happens, which is the point. It was shown like a calendar, right? Since nothing happens, you just have to keep scrolling down and down until you see something. And you see the months literally flying by. It's genius. And there are a lot of these little artsy details of how this story conveys itself that coalesce into a big, incomprehensible ball of feels. I also recommend literally everything else this man has accomplished. John Boyes, the creator of 17,776, owns a YouTube channel and makes a lot of videos in sports. Gross, physical activity. But stick with me. He has two series I watched, Pretty Good and Chart Party, and they're presented sort of like 17,776. He has this one canvas, and it never hard cuts. It just has one continuous flow, and the camera zooms around looking at different stuff with narration. What he actually talks about are really bizarre stories that happened in sports history. I don't really want to spoil it, but as an example, he talks about a baseball player named Ku Dai Sung, this 35-year-old batter going up against one of the most well-known, best pitchers in America. So his last game, as a batter, he did literally nothing. 3 strikes. But in this game, he still did nothing and got 2 strikes. But on the last strike, he got a home run and scored a point on a bunt. Pretty good, I must say. He also documents a bunch of basically astronomically small chances happening in sport that happen, and tends to make a weird point about some aspect of sport using a bunch of data. And you might be thinking, what's interesting about mixing sports and analytics together? I assure you, merely the way he presents it makes the most mundane thing interesting, and he talks about fascinating shit. Back to 17,776, like the entirety of this could have just been a simple article on SB Nation, like a big wall of text, and even if it was like that, the topics discussed, like the inevitability of the human race, the perpetual boredom of humanity, and how the advancement of technology and exploration is fundamentally flawed, would still be present and actually has something to say about it, makes you feel small. But the way it was presented, that didn't even have to be done, by the way, makes every aspect of this story 10 times better in an honestly unexplainable way. And because I can't explain it myself, I'm just gonna have to trust the fact that you're gonna read this magnum opus yourself.